Welcome, everyone, to Beers with Jesus, Todd's World. We're back.
Yay.
And we're still in Acts. Carrie's with me. How's it going, Carrie?
Hello. Great. How about you?
Good. Coming freshly off news. That was fun. It's nice to
That
get
was
back into the
fun.
swing of things. So, if you guys didn't listen, we do the Wildly Opinionated News Hour on Tuesdays, it drops,
hmm
and
hmm
Beers with Jesus drops on Wednesdays. And Beers with Jesus, we explore stories of the Bible. Right now, we're going through the book of Acts. We're in Acts 9 today. And
Oh, we are.
Wildly Opinionated News Hour, we express our wild opinions, basically.
We do. It's a safe space for us.
So we talked about all kinds of things this week. You don't want to miss it. You want to don't miss a show. If you haven't followed us, follow us. Subscribe,
hmm
send us to your friends. The only way we're going to grow is if you guys tell people about us and
And
rate us,
please,
right?
yeah, and please go. Yeah, did you say rate? Is that
You
what you're
rate,
saying?
yeah. Give
Yeah,
us
please
five
go
stars if you can.
go find on your app you're listening on and please find a way to rate us. Apparently, it
Makes a
makes a
big
big
difference.
difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
We'd like to march right up the ranks. So
We would. We've been doing this a while. Todd's got
we're
professional lighting,
wildly
so
talented at it. So we're in good shape. And today, and we do the two different. So they're very different. We started out well. We started out with stories originally,
hmm
and then hopefully we'll get back to some stories. But the stories were I found personally was difficult to maintain with everything else I was doing. It's just I like the idea, and I'd like to someday get back to it.
Yeah, we'll
This
see.
isn't the time, and that isn't probably the format that it's going to work in right this second, but
Yep.
maybe it will later. You never know. Maybe we
Cool.
were that far ahead of our time, right?
I know. You know what? It was great to just be trying stuff. And
I
we've
loved it.
stumbled into this kind of, I don't know, kind of experimentally, and
Well,
I've
we
really
started with Beers
enjoyed
with
it.
Jesus,
hmm
but then we realized we were doing like 45 minutes of politics on the front end, and we thought maybe people didn't want their religion and politics quite so stirred up,
I know.
like their mashed potatoes and their
Really,
peas all mixed up.
we were
So,
really mixing it up. You're right.
so then we split them,
hmm
and we've been doing Wildly Opinionated News Hour, and that's where we keep our news and our
hmm
fun and all of that. And then
Yep.
in Beers with Jesus, we kind of stick to the Bible and we stick to Christian and to the stories and we explore them. And
Yep.
I love it. I enjoy it,
I do too.
and I think it makes sense to split it like we have.
Definitely. And I learn something new every week.
Well, look at that,
I really do.
Carrie. That's impressive.
It's impressive. Do I retain it all? No, which is why I'm glad we're
I
here
learn something new every week too.
every week so that I can stay on track and focus on the good stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so this week we're in Acts
hmm
9. This is the blinding of Saul, who will
Right?
become Paul, but for this passage, it's Saul. So,
Yep. I'm glad
um,
you're telling people that because not everyone listening will knows. Like that's the same person.
yeah.
This
So as
is
you go through, he ends up writing a lot of the New Testament and everything. But we're going to get to
right.
that story.
Yeah. All those letters, letters um from the letters of Paul to fill in the blank.
Corinthians, Romans,
Yeah,
Galatians,
Galatians.
Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians.
Right.
It's a lot of Paul, man.
This is Paul's origin story that we're really
Yes.
in right now. So,
And he started off named Saul.
hmm
It's not unusual in the Bible for us to see
yeah.
God change people's names. Jesus did it. Remember, he had
hmm
Simon, and he said, "You're going to be
Right.
called Peter. You're the
Oh,
rock
right.
on which I'm going to build my church."
Wasn't
And
Matthew something also?
Levi, maybe, could have
Yeah.
been.
hmm
And even in the Old Testament, you had Israel. You had Jacob,
Okay.
who had been gone, the 12 tribes of Israel are Jacob's 12 sons. He's
hmm
coming back finally after having been gone for 20 or 30 years
hmm
from the area of Canaan where Abraham and Isaac had resided. He's
hmm
going back, meeting his brother who he cheated out of the birthright, and then he spends the night before he's going to meet his brother wrestling with an angel of the Lord, and then finally the angel touches his hip to give him a limp because he won't let him go till he blesses him. And he
Mm.
blesses him, and he changes his name to Israel, which means he who has wrestled with God
Mm.
and prevailed, or maybe it just means he who wrestles with God, but it's something like that.
Okay. Wow.
So,
So in here in the New Testament, like in this situation or with the case of Simon becoming Peter, is it just in your opinion, do you think that it's God saying like you are changed in such a way that you're like a whole new person?
It seems like that, like
Do you think
representative of that, maybe.
right? Maybe the names, like the new name signifies something in each of these people. I don't
Well,
know.
names are certainly important to God. I mean, and
Yeah.
so, it specifically, there's something in Romans, I can't remember where it is, but it talks about like arithmetic versus God calls us by name. In other words, it's
Mm,
not by number. So if all the sand of the seashore was redeemed,
hmm
they'd still were numbered. They'd still just be numbers. But God calls us by name. The names are really important to God.
hmm
And so yeah, I'm not sure exactly on the Saul Paul thing. Maybe we'll get to that and see why that.
Okay.
We'll see how the story
I
goes.
meant
But
I meant to look into that, but okay.
for now, Acts 9. And I think we'll just start with the first section. That may keep us more than uh, busy today.
Okay. So the blinding of Saul.
Yeah.
All right. You're
Carrie's
ready?
going to read to us.
I'm gonna
She's
read.
feeling better this week. Well, she's
Yeah,
feeling
hopefully.
better enough to read.
Hopefully, yeah, hopefully I sound a little better than last week.
You need some ivermectin horse paste in your
I
life.
do. I definitely need that. All right, the blinding of Saul, chapter 9. All this time, Saul was breathing down the necks of the master's disciples, out for the kill. He went to the chief priest and got arrest warrants to take to the meeting places in Damascus, so that if he found anyone there belonging to the way, whether men or women, he could arrest them and bring them to Jerusalem. He set off. When he got to the outskirts of Damascus, he was suddenly dazed by a blinding flash of light. As he fell to the ground, he heard a voice. Saul, Saul, why are you out to get me? He said, Who are you, master? I am Jesus, the one you're hunting down. I want you to get up and enter the city. In the city, you'll be told what to do next. His companions stood there dumbstruck. They could hear the sound, but couldn't see anyone, while Saul, picking himself up off the ground, found himself stone blind. They had to take him by the hand and lead him into Damascus. He continued blind for 3 days. He ate nothing, drank nothing. There was a disciple in Damascus by the name of Ananias. The master spoke to him in a vision. Ananias. Yes, master, he answered. Get up and go over to Straight Avenue. Ask at the house of Judas for a man from Tarsus. His name is Saul. He's there praying. He has just had a dream in which he saw a man named Ananias enter the house and lay hands on him so he could see again. Ananias protested, Master, you can't be serious. Everybody's talking about this man and the terrible things he's been doing, his reign of terror against your people in Jerusalem. And now he's shown up here with papers from the chief priest that give him license to do the same to us. But the master said, Don't argue, go. I have picked him as my personal representative to non-Jews and kings and Jews. And now I'm about to show him what he's in for, the hard suffering that goes with this job. So Ananias went and found the house, placed his hands on blind Saul, and said, Brother Saul, the Master sent me, the same Jesus you saw on your way here. He sent me so you could see again and be filled with the Holy Spirit. No sooner were the words out of his mouth than something like scales fell from Saul's eyes. He could see again. He got to his feet, was baptized, and sat down with them to a hearty meal.
Good job, Carrie.
Thank you.
So we were first introduced to Paul back in chapter 7.
Hmm.
Stephen was the first martyr. He was doing signs and wonders among the people,
Yeah.
greatly respected. And then, so the Pharisees and the chief priests arrested him,
Hmm.
and Stephen preached to him.
Right.
One heck of a
Boldly.
sermon, stem winder, as
Boldly.
they say.
Hmm.
But it says in and anyway, they got real mad at him. It says at
Hmm.
that point they went wild, a riding mob of catcalls and whistles and invective. But Stephen, full of the Holy Spirit, hardly noticed he only had eyes for God, whom he saw in all his glory standing at his side. He said, "Oh, I see heaven wide open and the Son of Man standing at God's side." This is while they're starting to stone him.
Oh
Yelling
my
and hissing,
gosh.
the mob drowned him out. Now, in full stampede, they dragged him out of town and pelted him with rocks. The ringleaders took off their coats and asked a young man named Saul to watch them. So that's the first time we're introduced to Saul.
Hmm.
Is he's kind of the, I don't know if you'd call him the ringleader, but he's something of that in that stoning of Stephen. He bears some kind of responsibility for the crowd,
Hmm.
and he's watching their coats and he's doing
Hmm.
whatever.
Because of the coat thing, can I just say,
Hmm.
I've kind of envisioned, and I don't know how old he is. I don't look this stuff up. I just think of it as we're talking, but my impression is he's a
That's the
little bit
best way to do
young.
it.
He's a little bit younger than them. Well, because we're
I know.
exploring it as a story, but um, I picture him being a little bit younger.
Hmm.
And they like it's almost like a little young recruit,
Oh, okay.
you know.
Yeah,
So like here,
he might
you hold
be.
the coats, you watch this. Very impressionable. I think that's why he was so what's the word? So enthusiastic about his
Oh,
efforts,
yeah.
opposing them because you know how like really young
Hmm.
people recruited
A lot of
into a
zeal.
cause. Zeal, yes, yes. So
Hmm.
that's kind of how that's my been my impression. I don't
I
know
think
if
you're
that's
right.
accurate, but
Um, the so Paul has been now in eight. We didn't see much of him, but it does say that all this time, so all through whatever's going on in chapter 8,
mm-hmm.
Saul has been breathing down the necks of the disciples.
Yep.
Right? He just goes wild and he's arresting people. And Paul was a Pharisee of the Pharisees. Like it was the the religion of Judaism was everything to Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And he was convinced that Jesus was there to destroy it all, to bring it all down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some of that were Jesus' whole own words when Jesus said he's looking at the temple and he says in 3 days I'll tear it down and it'll be raised back up.
Mm-hmm.
That he was talking about his own death and
Yes.
resurrection, obviously. Although he was talking also still about tearing down the temple in AD 70, that would happen, and it would be plowed
Mm-hmm.
under by the Romans. And it was, for all practical purposes, Israel was over after that. I know that we've
Yeah.
got our polite fiction over in the nation state, but it's not the same.
Right.
I understand there's a nation of Israel over there, but it's not the same as this country of Israel.
Yeah.
So, um, the what I thought was interesting
Mm-hmm.
is that I think Paul or Saul, I'm gonna make that mistake a lot. I'm gonna
It's
try
all
to
right.
stick with
It's
Saul.
about to transition, so it's fine.
By the way, guys, we read out of the message
Hmm.
just because the message is the best. So buy one if you don't have one. And I don't get anything out of it. Can you
Right?
believe that the publishers of the message don't have me on board as
I
a
know, right?
as a
They're
paid
not sponsors or
representative for
anything.
Nav
We
Press?
should contact someone.
Anyway,
Okay.
I like the narrative, the
Hmm.
story arc, the way that Eugene Peterson deals with it. I think he does a great job. So that's why we go through it, and it's a little different than a lot of people have heard. Maybe a lot of people haven't spent a lot of time with the message.
Hmm.
Because of that, you get, I think, a fresher perspective on the stories,
Hmm.
and I like that too. So, um, so anyway, Saul's out there just persecuting people. He's grabbing them, splitting up families. He's like
Yeah.
Tom Homan out
Oh my gosh.
there. No, but he is. He's splitting up families. I mean, you can imagine he's throwing people in jail. With Stephen, he's presiding over the execution, essentially,
Right.
of, and I think that Saul just, he really believed he was in the right. He thought he was on God's side when
Sure.
he's doing all this. He's convinced of it.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea to pause and realize that because it's not like he's this evil guy.
Right. He thought he was out there protecting
Right.
Yahweh's reputation,
Hmm.
serving the Lord. I mean, he was convinced of it,
Right.
and he was wrong. No.
And Jesus told him so.
Yeah. Not a
In
lot of people,
person.
right.
In
Not a lot of people get
person.
that. Like
Right.
the light out of the blue. It's awfully crazy how God chooses people. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Yes.
Like the
I know.
least likely, the one you would least expect to do
I
anything.
know. I know. It's great.
And and so this light blinds him. He's on his way to Damascus to grab more Christians, right?
Hmm.
And then this just out of the blue, he sets off and then he gets to the outskirts of Damascus and there's a blinding flash of light.
Hmm.
He falls to the ground and he hears this voice and it's Jesus talking to him. And he says, Saul, Saul, why are you out to get me? And Saul's like, what do you mean, master? So instantly he's recognizing the authority. He's recognizing that God is talking to him, I think.
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed that he refers to him as master, and I didn't know if it was like a generic master. Um, but
I think he knows
yeah,
it's the
I
voice
mean,
of God.
sure, yeah. It makes sense that he would
But
because of the light and everything, but go
I
ahead.
don't think at this point he knows it's Jesus because he
Right.
doesn't. So because to him they're not the same. In fact, they're polar opposites,
Yes, yes,
right?
exactly. He thinks it's the voice of God, the
God, an
one,
angel, whatever,
right.
right?
His church is God.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And when he says, "Who are you, Master?" Jesus answers him. I think that's significant because
Hmm.
there's a lot of people out there who don't know or who struggle with they don't know who Jesus is,
Okay,
right? They haven't, maybe they've heard bits and pieces about him.
sure.
Maybe they think they know the story because they grew up in America
Hmm.
or they in the West someplace and they just there's a general familiarity with the Charlie Brown Christmas story. Whatever. They see all the stuff at Christmas. Whatever it is,
Right,
they feel like they have like they're familiar. Like everybody's kind of familiar with Christianity largely in America.
sure. All
And
kinds of like limiting thoughts on that,
but they
though.
don't necessarily know who Jesus is.
Hmm.
You could be familiar, but you don't know. And even Paul, he's out persecuting
Hmm.
Jesus. He has no idea that Jesus is God. But yet when
Right.
he asks, God tells him. And I think that's important because Jesus tells us, ask and you'll be answered. The answer will be
Hmm.
given to you. Seek and you'll find. Knock and the door will be open. God isn't keeping this a secret. Like
Right.
he'll tell everybody who's lined up to
Yeah.
Jesus. When Jesus talks about it, he says, these are father and son intimacies between us, talking about him and God. And he says, no one knows the Father like the Son does or knows the Son like the Father does. But he says, I'm not keeping it to myself. I'll go over it line by line with you. Like anything you want to know. And then in John 17, John says that eternal life is to know God. That was the whole point. The whole point of all of this is to know God.
Hmm.
And it's not to escape the flames of hell like we're sometimes given to believe.
Right.
I think if you were to distill down Christ's message, the idea you would get from Jesus is that the people he's talking to are already in hell. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like he's
Okay.
come to rescue us. We're already
Yes.
in our fallen state. We're already in a state of being dead, of spiritually dead. And he's offering
Right.
us the chance to move into life, to know
And to know him.
God.
Hmm.
And he'll tell us. So he says, I'm Jesus, the one you're hunting down. I want you to get up and enter the city, and in this city you'll be told what to do next.
Hmm.
Paul recognized the reason I say he was so devout is he recognized God. Now the problem is he didn't recognize Jesus as God or God in Jesus' ministry at first.
Right.
So we can be deceived on that.
Right. And I think it makes sense that he didn't understand that because he was part um of that structure that existed, that whole the boxes,
Yeah.
of the church and the hierarchy, if you will. And so something outside of that challenging it would definitely um
Oh,
seem like a threat to him, to
he's
someone in
all
his.
in on
Sure.
Judaism, on the
Yep.
Jewish religion,
Right.
on Yahweh, on the
Hmm.
law, on
Hmm.
all of it.
Yeah.
And yet Jesus doesn't, he's in a state of ignorance. He's persecuting the church. He's going after him. And yet Jesus tells him, Jesus chooses him. I don't know if it does it say that later.
He says, yeah,
Don't argue,
he
go.
tells
I've picked
Ananias.
him. as my personal representative to the non-Jews and kings and Jews. And now I'm about to show him what he's in for, the hard suffering that goes with this job. Now that's what Jesus says to Ananias.
Yep.
And yet, if you look at some of the mega churches and our big evangelical pastors today that fly around on Gulf Streams and everything else, you wouldn't get the idea that there's a lot of suffering that goes with the job of being, right?
Sure, on the outside.
I mean, I don't know.
I do think it's a hard job,
Right.
but
But you got
but
Kenneth
there,
Copeland out there with his wild eyes and $800
well,
million. And does that seem, that doesn't seem very Pauline to me.
well, there's a very different
Doesn't seem very New Testament to me.
no, definitely not. There's a very different climate, religious climate here.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got something threatening the existing system and you've got people trying to do conversions. I feel like, the evangelists you're describing who have these, what look like cushy lives, many of them are kind of preaching to the choir
Yeah.
there. But, obviously they're
Maybe they have their
hoping.
reward. You know,
Sure, it's
does it
possible.
doesn't
We're
Jesus
gonna
talk
try
about that you've had that you
if
they've
you have
had
your
their reward.
reward
Well, you
here.
get up. He talking about the Pharisees and how they preen and they get up and when they pray, it's a
Yeah,
big, huge ordeal. And he says,
yeah.
well, they have their reward, but when you do it, I want you to do it in secret. I want you to go into a room, close the door,
Mm-hmm.
and then God will give you the reward later on, is at least implied.
Mm-hmm.
And so here, Paul, yeah, it's weird that, or Saul, it's weird that God would pick Saul.
Right.
I mean, it's so strange that nobody believes it. Like none of the Christians believe
Right. So
it.
yeah, so Ananias right away is like, you got to be kidding. You know what I love about this scene? Because this is unusual, and you and I have talked about this so many times. Very often, Jesus doesn't share the plan.
Well, yeah,
God,
most
God,
often.
God, most often, he not only tells him that he's chosen Saul, but he tells him what his plan for him is, which, I mean,
Ananias's mind just must be blown at this
I
point.
know,
Like the breaker has blown and he can't even like keep
right?
up with it. You know what I mean?
Right. But I just like this because this is an example where he told him. I wonder if Ananias ever said afterwards, "Hey man, I got to tell you what Jesus said. Like you will believe this. And you're in for some suffering, so brace yourself."
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. In
wouldn't
another
you?
version, it
I'd
says,
tell
I'll show
someone.
him how much he has to suffer for my sake. And and
Oof.
and Paul does go on to suffer a lot.
Oh, I
Not
know,
only is he
right?
martyred for Christ, but you could argue that much of his ministry was a living martyrdom almost. I mean, he's
Right.
beaten, he's chased, he's
He's like
imprisoned.
he's in prison. He writes so many of his
Yeah.
epistles like from prison, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably probably house arrest. Not I'm not saying that to I'm just saying it to make a little bit more sense to people why if you think of somebody in a pit in a dungeon like chained up that how could they write all these letters? Well, probably it
Oh,
wasn't that. He probably
okay.
had people and it was on kind of a house arrest kind of thing. That was
Maybe.
fairly typical for the time.
Okay. But didn't he also have like physical afflictions,
Oh yeah, he
like
had
health issues?
yeah, he talks about the thorn in the flesh. That was I think it's in Second Corinthians and he prayed three times that this physical ailment, this thorn in the flesh would be removed from him.
Yep.
And God's answer was no. He says, my
Yeah.
grace is sufficient for you. My strength is made perfect in weakness.
Mm.
And you got to believe if having the background that Paul had,
Yep.
it's hard to imagine anyone think of everything you'd have to overcome,
Hmm.
even just shame wise, even just, I mean, it's already the fear. Everybody's scared to death of you. Everybody that you're supposed to be ministering to is scared to death of you.
Oh gosh. Okay.
They
Yeah.
just think you're going to, I mean, Ananias thinks it. And we're
Right.
going to go on to see next
Like
week
this is a bad
that the
guy.
disciples think it. Paul goes to Jerusalem eventually, and the disciples don't want anything to do with him because
Oh,
they don't trust him.
right.
Nobody trusts him.
Yeah.
And
Well, I'll
yet
be
it
curious to
doesn't
see if
slow
he
him down
shares.
at all. It's kind of wild.
Well, I'll be curious to see if he shares his story. Like if we get to hear him share his story with them, because
He
If you
does do it a
had,
couple different times. He does it in Acts
okay,
and he does it in a few different epistles,
okay,
where he gives the story of his conversion.
okay,
And
that's
you do
cool.
get some different details and some
Mm-hmm.
different things. But I do think it's interesting that God shows up to Saul,
Yep.
and Saul's not ready. Clearly, Saul is not ready for the truth. So the light of Jesus, the light of the truth, blinds him, and then Paul spends 3 days in darkness. It's hard for that to not sound a little bit like a picture of Jesus in his death and his resurrection. I don't know if there's any significance there.
The 3 days.
But Paul had to spend 3 days in darkness, not eating,
Mm-hmm.
not drinking. Like
Right,
something's going on in those 3 days, is my point in Paul.
right.
He's just talked to God, seen God, talked to God. Right away,
Mm-hmm.
God gives him an instruction. He doesn't now. You talked about how it's different because he gives Ananias the plan, but he doesn't give
Yeah.
Saul the plan or the
No.
plan. Saul has no idea.
No,
All
it's
Saul knows is that he's
interesting that he told.
blind
Right.
and he's stuck in Damascus. And what's going, like that long dark night of the soul kind of thing that we talk about. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
something I gotta believe in that 3 days. Like there's some soul search, there's some maybe God's working. I don't know. I say maybe, of course God's working, but you know what I mean. Like
Right. Sure.
something's going
Yeah, I'm
on.
sure I'm sure God worked on him during that time. I love the I guess the symbolism of him being blind also during that time. Not only in the darkness, like you said, like a death, like he's not eating or drinking and he's in the dark. So that does seem like a death, which I hadn't thought of till you said that. That's really cool. But just um, the blindness that he's been blind to the truth.
Yeah.
And he spends this period of time, um, and you know he's got to be in his head about it. Like,
Oh
holy crap,
yeah.
I'm blind, you know? I mean, he had this bright future and he was going to be martyring all kinds of Christian disciples.
Is it fair to say that all
Yeah.
that God did to Saul here
Hmm.
was put him physically into the
Hmm.
place that he already was spiritually. He was
Yes.
already blind, but he didn't know it.
Right. Exactly. It was like this, yeah, physical manifestation of his spiritual state.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it's like, yeah, it's like this blindness symbolizes, and then the fact that one of the disciples, ordered by Jesus, you know,
Hmm.
opens his eyes, and obviously then he's
He's filled with
converted,
the
but
Holy Spirit and everything.
it's awesome.
He's like a rocket ship after that, man. And that's crazy.
Right.
But I told you how friend of the show, Pastor Darrell, had made the comment
Yeah.
to me that when God chooses his leaders, we
Mm-hmm.
talked about the Jacob story where
Mm-hmm.
he's wrestling with God and God touches his hip and then he goes the rest of his life with a limp.
Mm-hmm.
That when God chooses his leaders, they always lead with a limp. God always and Saul certainly going on to be Paul. Think of all the baggage that he has to deal with. I mean, Stephen's death, and that's the tip of the iceberg. How
Right.
many families did he separate? How many people did he kill? How much damage did he do to
Mm-hmm.
some of these disciples who then go on to look up to him and revere him and see him
Mm-hmm.
as a channel for the voice of God in their life?
The fact that his reputation is known everywhere during a time when they don't have, social media.
Yeah.
I mean, you know that he did some damage.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they
I
knew who
mean,
this guy was.
they knew who he was, and you think that's kind of chilling because right now, like we know all kinds of things, other people's business,
Yeah.
but during this time, for him to be that well known is pretty chilling.
Well, it'd be like who, if you try to think of somebody, I don't know who. Would it be like an
Okay.
Osama bin Laden? I don't know who it would be, but somebody that just hates
Sure.
everything about this group of people that you're a
Right.
part of that means everything to you. They're just hunting
Yep.
you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you know it. And that's what they're known for. Their whole world is can
Yeah.
they destroy everything that you've given your life to?
Right.
Can they
Yeah.
can
It's
they
pretty
take it? And are
scary.
you willing to stand in the face of that persecution?
Mm. Are you willing to go and lay hands on him and heal him?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's what
Yeah. I guess,
Ananias was. He
But
wasn't at
Jesus,
first.
but Jesus asks you to do something, I guess you'd be hard pressed to, to say, nah, I'm going to opt out of this one.
Well, and I thought when I saw that, I thought, how often do
Hmm.
God's commands, God's
Hmm.
directions to us sound
Hmm.
completely ridiculous on the face? Like, why would I do that? You know what
Yeah,
I
I don't
mean?
know.
And God's answer is always, don't argue, just go.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't necessarily, now, in this situation, he does give Ananias some more light. You're right. He kind
Yeah.
of gives him a preview, but often he doesn't. Often he
I
tells
know.
Abraham to go to a place that I'll show you. Well, when are you going to
Right.
show me, God?
He doesn't even
Don't
tell,
worry,
yeah,
I'll
he
show you.
doesn't even tell you where you're going very often. So yeah, if you're just joining us, this is very atypical.
So yeah, I just think
Yep.
that it's a for Ananias, he's thinking you're asking me to go to my death. Like,
Oh
I mean,
gosh,
that's
I didn't even think of that. He'll feel threatened by this
physically
person,
threatened,
literally.
100%.
Wow.
Maybe Ananias has a wife, maybe he has a family, and maybe he's looking at him and he's saying, God, if I go where you want me to go, I'm
Yep.
never going to see them again. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
Every argument, every protest that
Hmm.
Ananias would have would seem to make total sense to us. We'd be
Yeah.
like, I'm with Ananias. I don't understand, God.
Yeah. Send someone else, please.
So are you willing to obey him in the face of, I don't understand? This one, it doesn't seem to make any sense.
Right.
You know?
Lack of understanding, fear. Are you
Fear
willing? Are you willing to listen to him in the face of fear?
and to follow and to obey.
Woo.
That's that step of faith. The step of faith is stepping, you're scared to death. There isn't, it's like Peter on the
Hmm.
side of the boat, right? When Jesus
Yeah.
is out walking on the water, Peter says, if it's you, tell me and I'll come to you. And Jesus says, all right, come. Peter's on the side of the boat looking down, and it doesn't look any different than it has every single time he's been in that water. It didn't hold him up. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yep.
he's afraid. He's got to be afraid,
Sure.
but he takes the step anyway. And Ananias does the same thing.
Hmm.
And Paul is gonna do it over and over and over again too throughout his
Yeah.
life. He's gonna do it in spite of the fear, in spite of the suffering. He's gonna follow God anyway. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I also thought it was kind of interesting that
Hmm.
his companions that were with him, they see
Yes.
the light and they
Right.
hear the voice, but they can't make anything out of it.
Right. So I don't know if I've heard this. Sorry. Is there a place that says you can't actually look at Jesus like our human
Well, God in
eyes?
the Old Testament that was true that
Okay.
and so he passes by Moses or maybe it's Elijah, I can't remember. But anyway, he kind of takes his hand he puts his hand over him as he's passing by and then lets him kind of see his back
Okay.
because no one can live and see the face of God. But yet
Okay.
that all changed. That wasn't true with Jesus, clearly.
Right, right. But this is after Jesus's resurrection and ascension. Like
Right.
he's appearing. I don't want to say like more divinely than in the. I know it sounds weird to put
Well, no, I
degrees
know
on
what you're
it,
saying.
but he's appearing from heaven. I don't know. I was just gonna say. I wonder if it's just his appearance blinds Saul. His companions who are not blinded couldn't see him. So I'm just
Hmm.
saying, like, that's the difference between their experience in that moment. I don't know, maybe it's because of
Well,
that.
it reminds me of how you can have people, let's say you can have two people sitting in the same service. Let's
Hmm.
say they're at a Billy Graham
Okay.
an evangelistic service of Billy Graham. I know Billy Graham's dead, but back in the day, before he
Yeah.
died, the 80s, when he's at his peak, right?
Okay.
And you got two people sitting at a Billy Graham, uh, what did he call those things? Crusade.
Oh, okay.
At a Billy Graham crusade. But the gospel's coming out, and the gospel's being proclaimed, and the gospel's being preached. And the conviction and the truth of it lies so heavy on one of them, and then on the other person, they don't get it at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's like I don't know if that's God's choosing or what. In other words, we can't, I don't think,
Mm-hmm.
comprehend, I don't think we can get or understand the gospel or God or Jesus without God enlightening us. And God doesn't
Mm-hmm.
enlighten everyone the same way. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, it's too bad. This is such a powerful moment. You could have had a couple more Pauls, you know? Why didn't he just, but I mean, he chose him.
Yeah.
Obviously chose him for a reason, but yeah, I wonder what these companions do when after the conversion happens, you know?
Oh
They're
my
like,
God, I
"Oh
don't know.
man, Saul
I
went
mean, it
off the
says
deep
they
end."
led him into the town by the hand, right?
hmm
Um,
Yeah, I mean, they took him there, but
because he had to.
then I guess they dumped him off to go pray
They're
because
just
he
like,
couldn't
what
see anything.
are we
They're
gonna do
like,
with a
well,
blind Saul? He's not worth much to us.
right? Oh, it's crazy. So
He-
yeah, apparently
so
it was
apparently,
just for
the
Saul's
truth
benefit.
can be the truth can be told, and people can be in range of it and have it just pours off like water off a duck's back if
Well,
the spirit isn't working to give
right.
understanding. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that happens all the time.
It's God who's working in us, God who saves us, but not only God who provides the sacrifice and who hangs on the cross and sacrifices himself, but we don't even desire God without him putting that desire into us and without him
hmm
working the entire thing. It's God start to finish.
hmm
I mean, we're in there. I'm not saying we're not in there. And I'm
Right.
not saying that we don't have the choice to accept or reject. We do.
hmm
But
Well, and we have the choice to make the first move.
yeah,
And he'll be there. He'll answer.
he'll answer. If you want to know who Jesus is, just like
Yep.
Paul or just like Saul,
Yeah.
this will, within a few chapters, this will hash
His
out.
agenda, yeah. His agenda was different. He was looking for Jesus with a whole different agenda, but
Well, right. And God
um
changed all of it in one moment of truth. Well, you could say in one
and
moment
three
of
days.
his when he's filled with the Holy Spirit,
hmm
everything about Paul's life changes,
Yeah.
and it changes right away. We're going to see that in the next chapter where he just goes, I mean, he goes right out and he just starts preaching. they
Really? Oh,
don't they
that's
don't slow him
awesome.
down for a second.
That's awesome.
And yeah, I just I kind of love that, you know?
Yeah, that's cool. Just did a 180.
It also reminds us that first of all, God chooses who he wants to choose.
hmm
Often he chooses people we wouldn't choose.
hmm
You know what I mean? And often we're baffled by the choice. And even
Sure.
though for years while it's going on, you can imagine there'd be Christians who'd go to see him and they'd be like, "Man, I can't believe that's the same guy." You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I know it's been 5 years. I know he's written a bunch of stuff, but geez, he was killing Christians. Now look at him.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
It makes me think of how there's are so many prisoners who experience conversions.
Yeah,
You know, prisoners they're
like a
serving their
Ted
time.
Bundy. Ted Bundy did. Yeah, James
Ted,
Dobson led him to the Lord before he was killed.
really?
Hmm.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, that kind of thing,
Wow.
though. Yeah, there's a lot of
But I know that there are prisoners serving their time and they spend their time, you know, they read the Bible or they start attending church services in prison. And there are a lot of people, brave people who go and minister to prisoners and that sort
yeah.
of thing. And but I'll tell you when they experience those conversions, they're like powerful
Well, it's
because
a night and
j-
day change.
right,
Yeah,
it's just like Saul. It's a 180
yeah.
and it's just a complete turning away. Whereas we, you know, you and I, we aren't criminals. We're decent people. We do our best, but I think we get a little I don't feel like you and I are especially self-righteous, but I think we feel like we're, you know, we're good. We're
It's
believers.
certainly that would be the
Make an effort.
temptation for a lot of American. I say American. That's because I'm
Hmm.
in America. Because I'm an American.
Yeah.
A lot of American believers. Yeah, it does seem that it's
Yeah.
easy. Comfort becomes so important to us, and we can follow Christ
Hmm.
comfortably.
Right. We can go
I
to
don't know
church
if
on
that's true,
Sunday.
but we think we can. My guess
Yes.
is we can't ever really follow Jesus all that comfortably, but we can appear to follow it enough for ourselves and for other people
Hmm.
comfortably. Is that fair?
That's fair. And I do think, and I do think we can. I don't think everyone has to suffer the way that Jesus tells Ananias that Saul is going to
Oh,
suffer.
sure. Yeah.
I don't think that's the plan for everyone,
But certainly
but
he's going to call us all out of our comfort zone.
out of our comfort zone. Yeah. I
And
was
if
going to
you
say,
haven't been called out of your comfort zone,
yeah,
well, it's fair to ask yourself, what's Jesus up to with me? I think. Do you
right.
think? I mean, do you think that's a fair statement?
I think so.
Anyone God's going to use in a
Hmm.
big way or in any way
Hmm.
at all, he calls out of
Yes,
their comfort zone.
I think so. Whether it's giving, some people have a really hard time giving
Hmm.
money. Um, I'm going to share a story. I don't know if I ever shared this a long time ago when we first started, but
I
I
don't
have
remember.
I have a friend who was called to she was in regular communication with Jesus. She talks to him like a friend,
Okay.
like he's sitting right next to her in the car.
Yeah.
I love her relationship with him. But one time she was writing a check to her church and she was told that she needed to up that amount significantly.
Oh, okay.
And she was just like, oof,
Yeah.
uncomfortable, so
Uncomfortable, right?
uncomfortable. Yep. And she, and it cracks me up. I still remember her describing that. It just flashed in my mind when you said out of our comfort zone. I thought of her and she did it. She did it, but it was like really uncomfortable. And I can't remember the amounts
Yeah.
now or whatever, but
Did she notice anything later? Meaning, did that step of obedience, like
yes, there was something. It was like got
whatever it
a
was? Yeah.
she got like a bonus at work or something like immediately after that. It was in
Yeah.
like the same amount. Something supernatural, if you will. And it was like, wow.
Well,
But
and even beyond like that, even
mhm,
beyond the money part, that
yeah.
step of faith, you never know, it may unlock something
Hmm.
spiritually in us that we've been struggling with or whatever. And
Right.
we may not even know we've been struggling with it, but all of a sudden,
Hmm.
after a step of faith like that, there's another breakthrough.
Hmm.
And we're like, "Oh, that's what God had.
Right.
That's what he had in he's always got something ready." And we always
Exactly.
think his plan is just ridiculous. It's just not right. His timing isn't right. His plan isn't right. Everything,
Exactly. Yeah.
and we're
Yeah.
always wrong. He's always
Maybe
right.
it's yeah.
That's
Maybe
the
it's like, yeah,
long and
maybe
short
it's
of it.
reaching out to someone, or maybe it's like you talking about doing a kind of a ministry group, like
Yeah,
a guided
and so
group
you step
thing.
out in something you don't feel at all qualified to do,
Exactly.
which I gotta believe is how Saul felt. I mean, Saul going out and preaching Jesus when
Right?
he had just been doing everything he could to kill
Right
or put in
before that.
prison everyone who had anything to do with Jesus. Had to be an uncomfortable place for Paul or for
True.
Saul. When you go when he goes later on
Yeah.
to see the apostles in
Hmm.
Jerusalem and they don't want to see him,
Yeah.
that's uncomfortable
Right.
because he thinks it's been years I've been out here preaching the gospel, I've been healing people, all these things, and you won't
Yeah.
even see me.
So crazy.
We're gonna see that next week.
Cool.
That's in next
Lots
week's
against him. I love it.
yeah portion of it. But yeah, I think that that's the most important thing is that God chooses people we'd never choose
Hmm.
because God he sees it all. He knows that
Right.
Paul took all of that zeal, all of that anti-Jesus, like just energy and zeal, and
Yep.
all of a sudden, like the flip of a light switch, it's all pro-Jesus zeal. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's got the
Yeah.
same zeal and the
He was
same
Jesus
energy.
pilled and he like
Yeah,
went,
now he's
yeah.
just building the
Yep.
kingdom. He
Totally.
was attacking the kingdom before,
Hmm.
wanting to destroy it, and the second he sees the truth, he's 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 on board.
Yeah. It's
And that
crazy.
is maybe in some ways he was in something of a state of some kind of honest error. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that
Sure, like you
justifies the
said.
killing or the imprisoning or any of that.
Right.
Only that he genuinely wanted truth and he genuinely wanted
Hmm.
God. He
Yeah.
didn't understand it right where he
Hmm.
was at in his natural setting.
Hmm.
And he needed some miraculous help to kind of flip that switch.
Right.
But once that switch was flipped, man, I mean that it changed the world. Literally.
Yeah. I
You
know.
could literally say that without Saul, without Paul,
Hmm.
the New Testament, the early church, the book of Acts, it doesn't look anything like what we have. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and I think, we look at books of the Bible as like, okay, it's, for us to read and understand Jesus and his story and, the ministry after his death and resurrection. But you think of these books, Corinthians, uh, Ephesians, all those, they're like, those are people. Like there's cities
Yeah.
filled with people he's writing these letters to. So you think of
He's
the vast,
ministering.
yeah, the vast numbers of people who were affected by everything he
And
wrote.
2,000 years later, I mean, he's by far the most prolific writer
Yeah.
in the New Testament.
Isn't that wild?
And a lot of our doctrines come from Paul and from his epistles. I mean, we focus on the stories because I'm kind of a
Hmm.
story guy and I enjoy that. Part of it is that I feel like a lot of pastors and a lot of churches overemphasize the epistles and the teaching part and underemphasize the
Hmm.
story. And I'm not saying the
Yeah.
epistles and the guidance and everything isn't important,
Hmm.
only that the notes and the commentary to the story are most helpful if you know the story. That's
Yes,
all.
I understand. They're yeah, the preachers are teachers, like,
Right.
so it makes sense that they would focus on that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's a good observation.
And Paul, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Paul did a lot to help make sense of Christianity
Mm-hmm.
for for the whole world, really.
Yeah,
And it's
incredible.
what God was going to do with Paul or with Saul, no one could have imagined. Ananias couldn't have imagined. He didn't have the slightest clue what was going to happen. Even after
Right.
Jesus told him, he couldn't. It'd be like Jesus telling his disciples things. They couldn't process it because they didn't have a paradigm that worked like that.
Hmm.
They had never seen anything like that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
completely. Yeah, it's out of his comfort zone.
And this kingdom, this kingdom of God is totally upside down. The first shall be last, right? Blessed are the poor, blessed are the meek. All these things that the world doesn't value at all.
Hmm.
It's totally it's this total difference in kind of in a perspective. And
Hmm.
once that changes, and I think the filling of the Holy Spirit, conversion to to accepting Christ or believing that Jesus is the Messiah, that he's God,
Hmm.
it changes everything. And we don't know how much it'll change. Paul didn't know how much it was going to change. He didn't know that
Right.
he was going to be the most prolific, that
Right.
2,000 years later, we're going to look back at him as one of the greatest apostles ever. I don't think because of his background and because of his history,
Hmm.
my guess would be Paul struggled his entire life and didn't feel qualified, didn't feel up to the task, but he did it
Sure.
anyway. And
Yeah, you know what, too? When Jesus tells Ananias his plan, he doesn't say, I've chosen him and I'm going to make him the most prolific
right.
writer, and in sharing Christianity. He doesn't say any of that.
No. And
So,
yet he does say it. He says he's going to be my representative to
yes.
non-Jews, to kings, to all of it. It's just,
Right.
how would you know? How could anybody know?
Hmm.
Except God, of course. And that's why we don't argue, we just go.
We just
Because
go.
we
Yeah.
don't have the prerogative, we don't have the vision, we don't know. We just don't know.
Hmm.
God knows the first from the last. He knows what he's doing. Like he's not out there worried. Like, oh my gosh, if I choose Saul, what might happen? You
Right,
know what
right.
I mean?
Sorry, that makes me laugh because it's funny to imagine God being that way. What do you think of this population breakdown? Non-Jews, kings, and Jews. It's like
It's like everybody.
Everybody. I know, but I like the breakdown. It's kind of funny.
It is funny. Certainly, Paul was considered the apostle of the Gentiles. He was, and we'll see
Hmm.
that in Acts as we go along.
Hmm.
That Jesus came, and he was, of course, called first to the children of Israel, and
Hmm.
the whole story we went through in Mark.
Right.
If you don't know it, well, you got about a year or so
A
podcast to
year's
wade through,
worth
but
of
you'll get it.
podcasts to enjoy. Just
But
put the playback on a little bit higher speed so you don't take a year to listen to it.
but but yeah, I don't think that Paul. I don't think anybody could have envisioned. Well,
Hmm.
it's like everything is like that. We can't envision what God could do with us.
Right.
Well, we can't envision what God could do with us, let alone what He could do with somebody that we don't even like.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Like we could look in the mirror and be like, hey, God could do something good with me.
But I don't think Paul, and
Hmm.
he could have, with
Hmm.
his background, Pharisee of the Pharisees, the whole thing.
Hmm.
Paul could have struggled a lot with pride. That was one of the biggest downfalls of the Pharisees. And yet, because of how this whole thing worked out, I don't
Hmm.
think that was ever an issue. I don't think that pride was ever an issue with Paul. I think that he considered himself among the least of Christians. And I think because of all the things he'd done to persecute the church and in Stephen's killing and all these things, I think those hung on with Paul. I think that was the limp Paul walked through life with.
So you're
Does that
talking
make
about
sense?
you're talking about pride not being an issue for him later,
Right.
like for like the
Well, it clearly
rest of
was
his
here.
like
Right.
his Christian career.
Right.
Um, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, he never sounded
I
that way.
don't think he felt I don't think he felt like he should have
Yeah,
been used like he was, but he just obeyed anyway. He had the
right.
audacity to just believe God. I think that when you
Right.
look at the disciples and the apostles and the whole story, it
Hmm.
all comes down to the fact that they just had the audacity to actually believe what he said and go do it
And go do it. Right. Well,
without any
definitely.
idea what would happen, and probably were as blown away by the results as anyone.
Hmm. Well, I think he was just so blown away by that moment. He had to have been.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's interesting to think that he might have hung on to all of that, to his past behavior and beliefs and
I'm not saying he
baggage.
was imprisoned to it. I'm not saying, because I don't think that. I don't think that the shame
Yeah.
paralyzed him, and that's
No.
the danger.
Right.
But
But
I think he was probably always cognizant of
sure.
it. You know what I mean? How
Yeah.
could you not be?
Right. To know that you had killed in the name of, you know, your beliefs to find out you're on the wrong side.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough thing.
I
So,
mean, while we were away, you had your big
yes.
family reunion. And
Hmm.
was it your cousin who listens to the show?
Yes, he's a second cousin.
Second
Yep.
cousin. What's his name?
Yeah. Chris. Hey,
Chris.
Chris.
Hey, Chris. Shout out to
Yes, I
Chris.
recently discovered that he's a listener of
Good.
this show, and I know I was so excited.
But you, Chris,
Hmm.
as the reunion wound on, right?
Hmm.
And the night wound on, he came up to you and he had talked to you about the show, and he had a, a small criticism about the show, right?
Yes.
And his criticism was he felt like I'm going to say equivocated too much. He probably didn't use that word, but essentially that was what he was getting at. And I
Yep.
felt like when I heard you tell it that he was talking about me, because I think I'm the one who is more guilty of it than you, which is he'll go through this whole thing and then I'll be like, I don't know. What do I know? Something like that, right? That was what he
Yes.
said. You do that all the time. And
Yeah.
as
I
soon as
didn't
you told me
realize you do
that,
that. Hmm.
I thought, God, he's right. I do it all the time. And then I
Yeah, I
thought,
didn't realize it.
but I think why is because I don't, be honest with you, I don't feel um qualified at all to even do this podcast. I'm fine with news, but you'd put me in because and yeah, is it part of my past? Yeah, sure. And I just don't. And so, but it reinforced to me, like this
Hmm.
story does about Saul and about Paul,
Yeah.
that you can stand firmly on this because it's God that you're standing on. It's the Spirit of
Yes.
God that
Hmm.
you're standing on and you're proclaiming. It doesn't have anything to do with you. It doesn't have anything to do with how well you've done at it in the past.
Right.
But man, it's hard not to stick with you. And that convicted me at the time. I thought I got to stop saying that. So hopefully I don't say it. If you guys hear me say it, I guess you can call me out in the comments or whatever. But my goal is not to do that because I think, yeah,
Hmm.
well, we've got the truth right here. We can proclaim it. It's not the messenger. It's not the quality of the messenger necessarily that matters, right?
Right. Yeah, we're definitely doing it in the spirit of truth. And you know what? If we were to say something, if we were to say something that now that we discovered later was completely inaccurate or false or,
Well,
against
yeah,
Jesus in any way, we'd be the first to say, yeah, we were completely wrong about that.
right.
So I think it was just
We've
in an
just never been
effort.
wrong. Oh, no, that wasn't what you meant. I thought that's where you were going.
I'm just
Just
saying,
kidding.
yeah. No, I'm just saying we don't approach this in it was in our efforts not to approach this arrogantly. We used to say in the beginning, we're not religious scholars,
Which is true.
um, which is true. Todd knows a lot. Like I love how you pull up stuff, historical things and share historical background on like the settings and things like that. There's a lot that you know, and it's really helpful. But yeah, we're really just, I think it was just
Kind
in
of
our
layman.
effort. We are, and it's
We're
okay.
just out
And
here with the rest of
well, and
you
like you said,
playing bingo.
we're standing on the truth of the word.
Right.
It's not really that we know everything, but
Yeah.
it's right here in front of us, and so we're just exploring it with you.
Yeah. And we
Yeah,
believe it.
yeah. So Chris, thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for
I
that
think he was right. I thought you were right, Chris.
criticism.
As soon as you said it, I thought, oh, man, he's right. And then
Yeah,
there's a few times where things like that hit me, and I know right away God's
hmm
using somebody else to tell me something, which is
that's so
exactly what he
cool.
said. And it's like, oh, well,
I love that.
hopefully we can make that change for you, Chris. But I don't know. What do I know? No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
What do we know about our listeners? No.
No, I'm kidding.
Anyway, yeah.
So
I'm glad he
anyway,
was comfortable to share it, and I'm glad you were open to it and knew what he was talking about because I didn't even realize that we did that.
yeah, I don't think that one was for you. I think you were the messenger on that one. That you were the conduit. It was coming through.
You know what? I'm just really upfront about what I don't know coming into this, I guess. I don't know.
No, you're great. It's not. I just knew
I
what he
knew
was
what you
talking
meant.
about is what I had done, and I do too
Hmm.
much. And I think he's right. You don't need to do that. You got
Cool.
the truth here.
Exactly.
It's not the quality of the messenger that really matters all that much.
Okay.
And
It's
this
the truth of the
reinforced it
message.
by this
Yeah.
story of Paul and God
Yeah.
choosing Paul reinforces that
Hmm.
I'm going to do things with people you never even imagined.
Right?
Like you would have
You're
looked at
gonna,
these people and you'd have been like, there's nothing redeemable there. I mean, maybe they can get into heaven, but certainly they aren't going to do anything to advance the kingdom on earth. And God's like, you haven't seen anything yet. Wait till you get a load of me
right.
and see what I can do, you know?
Love that.
And I love it. It's encouraging for anybody in our lives
It
that
is.
you're not bound to your past.
Right.
You're not
You're not bound to
limited
your past.
by
Hmm.
your past.
You're also not limited by other people's opinions of you.
Right.
Um, and you're certainly not limited by their opinions of what you're capable of because God's the only, God
Yeah.
knows what we're capable of. And
Keep your
like you
eyes
said,
on Jesus.
hmm take the
Follow him
steps of faith. Yep.
and see what happens. Should be an
Period.
adventure,
Definitely.
right? This has been an
Every
adventure
day,
and I
right?
love it
Yeah, it is.
every week. So I think we did pretty good. You?
Yeah, thanks, Todd.
Hey,
This was a great week. I like this show.
Acts is great. I do love this book. Of course, I think that all the time. I just love the Bible. I've been reading Job in my own like personal devotional time.
Oh,
And I love Job.
nice.
I know that sounds weird, but it's
That
probably
does
my
sound
fourth
weird.
time through it kind of heavy. And I feel like I'm starting to get Job a little bit.
Okay.
The book of Job, I mean. The book of Job is kind of a weird book
Yeah.
because you got like two chapters where all the action happens, and then you got like 40 chapters of just talking
Of
about what
talking,
happened.
of suffering, and oh
Yeah.
gosh.
Then God finally shows up, and God
Okay.
talks for a few chapters, and then you got a final chapter of action. And it's
Okay.
just kind of interesting how the whole
Interesting.
how, how
Slow
the whole
burn in the
thing kind of
middle.
works. Yeah.
Okay.
But
That's cool.
anyway, I love Acts. I think it's great.
Yeah, I'm
And
really enjoying Acts. I kind of didn't really understand what the book of Acts was, and this is awesome.
yeah, it's just the continuation of the story.
I like it.
So, all right.
So,
Well,
everyone
listen,
go
guys.
share us, rate us.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Close us out, Carrie. You know
No, you do it. I just wanted to remind them. If you're still listening, you like
Carrie,
it
you're
enough,
doing great.
please share the show.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today, guys. We told you what to do on the front end with ratings and everything. We don't need to rehash it. So,
Okay,
um, yeah, share us with some friends. Hopefully, you enjoy it. Come back, subscribe so you don't miss a show.
cool.
Check out Wildly Opinionated News Hour if you haven't. You'll find they're very different shows,
Very.
but we're the same people. So, and we enjoy it. I think maybe you'll
We are
enjoy it too.
multifaceted creatures here.
All right, we're out of here today, guys. Thanks for joining us. We will catch you next week. See you, Carrie.
Bye.